Welcome everybody. My name is Maralee Burnett. I'm your astrologer, back with messages for the final week of January. Wasn't it just New Year's? So for the week of January 26th, we'll do the breakdown, which of course is going to include a lot of big shifts. We have Neptune changing signs, not coming back in our lifetime to its home sign of Pisces. We have a pretty dramatic and powerful full moon in the sign of Leo, which could bring leadership changes. So lots of fiery energy coming up this week as we get ready to head into, of course, Chinese astrology's fire horse year, which, if you happen to be born in the mid-60s, you are having your fire horse year return. So lots of symbolism coming up in the week ahead that we will break down. And if none of this sounds familiar to you, it means you haven't been following me. So make sure you click on that subscribe button now. That way you get notification every time I create new content on this channel. But you want to go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. There you can, of course, book a session with me and get notifications every time I post new content out there on my blog. So I have a weekly update that I send out to my members. I have a monthly horoscope. I have a new moon article. I have a new moon worksheet. I have a full moon article. So I create a lot of free resources for you out there. So make sure you go out and become a member. And if you still want to get a good idea before we head into eclipse season about 2026, it would be a great time to book a session with me. All right. With that, let us get started quickly and easily as we look at, of course, the AstroGold software here and get us kicked off with Monday. Now, if you were following me last week, you are going to see here today that Neptune is finishing its very last moments on Monday morning. So there can be a bit of a feeling of a test and intensity, something that needs to be dissolved, some boundary that needs to be placed once and for all. Something along those lines could come up before the planet shifts into the sign of Aries. So 29 is a critical degree. It can create some crisis. At 29:59, it's the last degree of the zodiac. There could be some big dramatic endings from the weekend, and we may see the full reality of what that is. Now, this could be potentially more impactful if you happen to have planets at the 29 degrees of Pisces in your chart. So something, like I said, full closure is coming, a complete ending that opens a new doorway for you. So don't be afraid of the endings, because what leaves us now opens a new chapter. And chapter 2, where you're going to be focused on yourself. Pisces energy is a lot of things that are hidden beneath the surface. It's a lot of things that we can't touch. They aren't necessarily tangible. And when we get into the fire sign of Aries, this is all about the self. Who am I? Who do I want to be going forward? And so those questions may be coming up for you strongly. And maybe they came up for you last March when we first saw Neptune enter into the sign of Aries to get us a bit of a preview. Of course, then it went retrograde, and then it headed back into Pisces, where it pretty much sat at this critical, crisis-oriented 29 degrees. And I don't know about you, but I'd say the world's felt like it's been in crisis for several months now. So hopefully some of that will lessen as Neptune heads into the sign of Aries. Now, this also closes a 14-year chapter, area of your life that you've been working on for the past 14 years. This is it. You're never going to get a chance again to do this work, to make these connections. It's over. And now, as I mentioned, a new chapter begins for you. So Aries, the first sign, and I'm going to adjust this now to just show it moving on Monday into this sign. Here we go. So around 11:30 Mountain Standard Time, we will see Neptune step into and stay in the sign of Aries. And as planets hit 0 degrees, this is a reset. This is the 0 in the tarot, the Fool. This is where we take a leap of faith and begin a new journey where our goal is to gain wisdom and knowledge through our own experiences, not just wisdom that's handed down to us from other people, but it's our journey. It's our quest. And Aries is the first sign. So this is a 1 year. Aries is the first sign, first house, the self. This is all about exploring and connecting to yourself. And Neptune dissolves things. And it can also make things foggy. So you choose. I'm going to turn into the light and dissolve any false identities that I have been showing to other people and tapping into my true gifts. That's what you can work on with Neptune over the next 14 years. So of course, now this work happens overnight. It is slow work. This is an external planet, which takes the work within. We have to connect with ourselves, with our true identity of who we are, what we want, what we dream about, because Neptune is our dreams, and it can be our artistic, creative gifts that we're ready to realize, and we're going to take the steps to achieve those things slowly but surely. And when Saturn steps in and joins Neptune right around Valentine's Day, boy, I can't think of any more loving event than Saturn coming into Aries. But these two will begin to be joined then. They'll be coming exact around the 20th. And this is a new paradigm shift. Now, they traveled very closely together last year, but they never were exactly conjunct. So this is our first opportunity for this 36-year reset before they'll meet again in another sign. So we have shifts coming, changes in this 1 year. This big reset begins now. So yes, we had the new year roll in, but we are just now starting to see the effects of what's possible whenever we see outer planets shift. Society as a whole begins to shift and change as well, and change its priorities. So we're seeing that with Neptune, we're seeing that with Pluto in Aquarius, and they still will be speaking in harmony with one another. The closer they get, the bigger the shifts on society as a whole. And lest we forget, we still have Uranus retrograde in the sign of Taurus, but it too is getting ready to slow down, and it's retrograde in the lessons, in the reflection about what we deserve, what we're worth, what value we put into material things, and maybe where those values now need to shift and change. So that is coming right after that powerful full moon in the sign of Leo, which we'll be talking about and breaking down by sign as we get to that day here. So we'll continue the conversation that's been going on between Uranus and Saturn, but notice Saturn's finally moving ahead. It's off of that 27 degrees. It's hit 28 now. It will thankfully not spend as long as Neptune did at 29. And then, as I mentioned, we're just a couple of weeks away from these two joining and then really creating the structure around what your hopes and dreams are for yourself. And we'll be talking more about how other people might try to manipulate and use this energy and put restrictions on you and your dreams and your hopes and desires. But don't be that person and don't fall for that trap. Focus on yourself. So that is Monday, a big start to the week ahead. Let us move ahead into Tuesday. And this is a pretty volatile day that I talked about even last week. Now, the thing about Pluto, because it is not a personal planet, things are going on beneath the surface that we are not aware of. We had that going on when Venus crossed this path, Mercury crossed its path, and the Sun. Now it's Mars's turn. Now, Mars makes things much more volatile than any of the other planets that have passed before here. And Mars and Pluto both share rulership together of Scorpio, that 8th house energy of death, rebirth, transformation, the underworld, intense experiences. And Mars, of course, is very explosive. So this is important if you are somebody who regularly is out marching and protesting. You need to protect yourself right now. Stay very, very aware of your surroundings, because this can be the energy of secret attacks on unexpected groups of people. Now, there could be attacks on the internet, on the power grid. But whatever happens now, because this forms positive energy back towards the moon that will be entering into the sign of Gemini, there is the potential for there to be some kind of innovation, some kind of breakthroughs that teach us how to respond to a crisis. So there's a little bit of silver lining. Just be careful. This is a time where I just say travel and be extremely careful around electricity. This isn't the time to do sketchy things because you've been out of power for too long. Don't bring things in the house. Don't get poisoned by the gases that are emitted from that barbecue. Be just very careful and cautious as we have this energy coming together. Now, it takes Mars 2 years before it's going to come back and have a follow-up conversation with Pluto, which will have moved on a little bit by that time. But there is a new 2-year cycle. There could be something changing as far as leadership goes, maybe because of wars or transitions due to attacks. So it's a very volatile day, and we just want to be prepared for big changes, but also can be more along the lines of psychological warfare, because that's what Pluto rules. And that's why I mentioned you won't always see what's happening in front of you because it's not a personal planet. But there can be things going on from a psychological perspective that are weighing on you very heavily. So just be prepared. Monday, Tuesday, things could get a bit intense because of all the moving and changing of energies going on right now. We also see today a combining of energies with Venus, which is love and beauty and money and women. And then we have Mercury, which can be children, and they come together in the sign of Aquarius. So this is maybe a helping hand, or people are coming together for some reason. There's a need to support women and children in particular. So we could see some activity that involves those topics at this time as well. All right, enough doom and gloom. We could also see some kind of financial agreements or arrangements announced at this time. There could be something to do with what's going on in Iran. There could be oil deals, electricity deals. the repair of the electrical grid. Information is moving swiftly at this time as well. All right, let's move on to Wednesday. On Wednesday, again, more of the same energy, but we do also see the sun in Aquarius now that's beginning to make a difficult angle back to the South Node in Virgo. So this can expose some information, some details, like a toxic dump site could get exposed. There's something to do with unhealthy behaviors that are being brought to the surface as a result of the sun shining a light. So these are groups of people that have come together to expose details about something that has happened in the past, and the exposing of it is karmic. It's meant to happen, but it causes emotional unrest because of how difficult the information that is shared. The topic is a harsh topic to have to deal with at this time, but things are coming out in unexpected ways that eventually lead to healing. So it's just a quick hit on Wednesday from Fate. And then we're going to slide ahead to Thursday. We're moving pretty quickly because I'm going to spend most of the time doing the breakdown for that full moon in Leo. And because not a lot is moving or changing elsewhere. But we still see that Venus and Mercury are hand in hand, moving through the sign of Aquarius. These two tend to stay fairly close, but once Mercury does all of its retrogrades, then they start to separate. But right now, because Mercury hasn't started its first retrograde, which will be coming up in the sign of Pisces, they'll be moving fairly close together, never too far from the sun either. Both are still hidden within the sun's rays. So this again can be some movement involving women and children and immigration. The sun is shining a light on the issues that are affecting them and really charging up society as a whole to, again, come forward and help them overcome the obstacles that are currently in their path. And the sun still is helping expose whatever the issues are as it continues its difficult conversation there with the South Node. Then we are going to move along into Friday, and that conversation that's happening between Jupiter and Venus and Mercury is another one where there's an overabundance of feelings and caring and emotion that is being poured out today. So if there is something that did happen with Mars and Pluto that was very explosive and harmful, well, society as a whole is coming together to offer care and support. And Jupiter comes in here to also lend a hand. And we just have to be careful not to overdo it. Because Jupiter and Venus together, the two benefic planets, can bring almost too much of a good thing that could possibly be taken advantage of by certain people. But it's a very strong emotional day, as we also have the moon in its home sign of Cancer meeting up with Jupiter here as well. And Jupiter's been retrograde here since November 11th of 2025. It stays retrograde until March 11th, which means we still have things to learn about caring and nurturing for families. And of course, Jupiter rules foreign people, foreign places. So chances are there is some hot topic involving immigration that's coming up at this time that will be triggered by and have a strong emotional response to and be wanting to help and make a difference. just make sure you are paying attention and making wise choices on how much you're helping and who is actually doing the helping, such as if you're donating money, make sure you're investigating who that donation is truly going to and making sure they're aligned with what you would expect to be done with the money that you're sending for help. And then that leads us into Saturday. And here, not a lot has changed, but we do get the activation from the moon heading into the sign of Cancer a little further, speaking in harmony with Uranus in, of course, the sign of Taurus, stirring up financial opportunities. Both are speaking in harmony with Saturn in Pisces. So this is a day where you want to trust your intuition, trust your feelings, make sure you're holding healthy boundaries, making wise choices and purchases and investments, and breaking free from anything that you've been investing in that truly is not in your best interest. And still, whatever that event is that is creating this outpouring of support, it's still going on here on Saturday as we hit the last day of the month. I don't know about you, but this 1 year already is flying ahead, and we're already done with January as a result. I mean, weren't we just ringing in the new year? Where did the last 30 days go? Crazy. All right, so here we go. We're heading into the Chinese New Year. We're getting ready for the fire horse year. And speaking of fire energy, today we get the full moon in the sign of Leo. So this energy, as I move this moon ahead a little bit so it can sit here meeting with the sun at 13 degrees, is all about bringing something that you're passionate about, something that speaks to your heart, to completion. And you'll notice there aren't really any other planets that are directly impacting it. And in fact, the sun, which rules Leo, of course, is a part of this full moon because it's required to be opposing the moon for this to come to completion. So this is some full spectrum coming to a close. The sun from the opposing sign of Aquarius shines its light back home, making sure you're very clear on what your heart desires and that you're willing to see this opportunity in the light and go for it. So this isn't a time for closing your heart down, shutting yourself off from love. You know, Leo has to do with children or hobbies. It could be romance, anything that speaks to your heart. And the full moon, of course, brings things to fullness, things to completion. We can look back 6 months ago when we had the new moon in Leo. And what goals did you set for yourself at that time? Did you get off track? Or are you ready to fully realize them at this time? And of course, we have a lot of energy in the sign of Aquarius that puts a bit of pressure on us to see the truth, to see reality, to see the perspective of all of these other people and how our dreams can be challenged by them, and that can be good or bad, right? These can be a close friend group that is pushing you to question where your heart lies. Are you truly aligned with what you want, what you love, what you desire? Or are you too busy being swept up in other people's causes and other people's dreams that you haven't fully realized who you are and what you're passionate about? Or are you really committed and all of these people challenge you? And now you have to stand up for yourself and prove you are doing the right thing, following your path, following your guides to make whatever this is for you a reality. So whatever it is, there's certainly a lot of opposition that's making sure this is what you really, really want. But when you commit to it, then this can be a pretty amazing and dramatic opportunity. Now, there could be some leaders that are under fire, Leo, because of all of these other groups that are challenging them. And as a result of these people all banding together, there are some people in the world that may have to step down from their role. There also could be some leaders out there that don't appreciate being challenged and are retaliating at this time. So, of course, there's lots of individual ways that this can be showing up for us. It very much depends on what's going on in your personal chart for how this interaction may appear for you. So, I'm going to cover off on some of the possibilities. But be sure you go out and read my article, because I always put a little different flavoring in what I write versus what I say here. I give a little nuance in even the monthly article of what's possible, just because there's never one way. Astrology is not black and white. There's light and dark energy. There is free will. So a lot of things can change what's showing up. But the most important thing you can do is make up your mind about what you want in the house that this is showing up for you. This is where it will show a change in your day-to-day life. Now, from your sun's perspective, it's your ego self that experiences this sort of completion. And then from your moon's perspective, this is an emotional ending or closure of some kind for you. So let us break it all down and take a look briefly at what you're wanting to bring to closure. So, as in every video, as I get started with Aries, all the things that I've just mentioned has everything to do with you. So this is your fifth house. The fifth house is another fire sign, Leo, and that means this is energy that is very conducive to your personal goals. So if you have a goal involving having children, well, now's the time to start doing the work. If your goal is to find love, this is the time to put yourself out there. If this is a goal of yours to bring a hobby to light, again, this is the time to get your work ready to share with the world. So whatever you're passionate about, Aries, wherever your heart is, your heart's been covered up and closed up, this is the time to let that out and let it be free and go after whatever you desire. Because chances are, even though there's a lot of challenges, if you truly believe this is what's meant for you, it will happen. All right. And then we have Taurus. So Taurus, this happens for you in your fourth house of home and family. So this could involve the letting go of a child. They're moving out, they're heading to college, they've got their first job, they're moving in with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just friends. And that can weigh a little heavy on your heart that you have to let them go completely. But remember, when you make space at home by letting something go, well, something else will come in to replace it. So maybe you've been way too focused on your child and their needs, and you haven't been tending to your own heart or allowing yourself to have a romantic partner while your child's been living at home. Well, then by letting your child go, creating the space at home invites in an opportunity for new love to show up for you, Taurus. And then we have Geminis. Gemini, this happens in your third house, which happens to be the Gemini house. So Geminis, this is something to do with how you think, how you communicate, how you speak. Do you speak with a voice of authority, or do you waffle back and forth and not stay committed to the thing that you're most passionate about? Maybe this is you getting ready to go to school and gain more leadership skills. So that's all very supported for you at this time. So it will end up, whatever you study, whatever you learn, you will be able to gain a leadership role, which is Leo, in your community because of being open to learn something that you're very passionate about and very committed to. And then that's going to open doors for you down the road as well. And then we have Cancer. So Cancer for you, Leo ends up being your second house of the money you make. So there's a goal that you have in mind, and it could have to do with your career. So you could be considering, again, moving up in leadership roles within your organization. You could be ready to take on a role that is, this is fire. Maybe you want to be somebody who works for the fire department. This could be opening a daycare in your home, having to do with that children element. But whatever you do, whenever it comes to the money you make, you have to make sure you are following your passion. Your heart has to be connected to the work you do. And as long as it is, then the money will follow. So there's some dream that you have. And when you allow yourself to actually dream it and believe it's possible, there's a pretty nice payout for you. And if one job ends, it's because this better one, this one that you're going to love and enjoy more, is following up right afterwards. So don't stress about any job changes at this time. And then, of course, we have Leos. And, of course, the middle degree Leos specifically, this is a personal dream for you. This is something that you truly love, that you're passionate about, that you want for yourself. So what is that? Is it love? Is it children? Is it being the leader? Is it making a difference in the community? Whatever it is, this is a challenge that you are ready for, and you're ready to be seen as a leader. Instead of hiding in the shadows, the energy at this full moon is really going to put you out front and center. And there's a lot of people looking at you, so you have to get comfortable being on stage, making your presence known, and being true to who you are. That's what's coming up for you, Leos. Now, most Leos, especially the suns, are very comfortable being in the spotlight. But those Leo risings, this is where you're rising to the occasion. You're learning to be a leader and to be out there. And so there's something that might push you, groups of people, friends, that say, hey, what you have to say matters. Get it out there for more people to become aware of your messages, and they will be well received at this time. And then we move on into the sign of Virgo. This, for you, Leo energy, is your 12th house. So these are all things that rule the subconscious mind. It can be a spiritual dream that you have for yourself coming to an end. If you've been stuck somewhere, it could be a hospital, could be working for a large company that doesn't align with your dreams anymore. Those things can change now. You can be released, you can be let go in order to pursue something that is better for your mental health. So if you're in some kind of toxic situation, of course, with the South Node in your sign now until the summer, You've got to get yourself out of those types of situations and instead pursue what you love, what you're passionate about. And I'm pretty sure that's not toxicity. So let that go. Deal with the subconscious blocks that make you feel like you don't deserve the good things, and stop being so critical of yourself, because that is what makes you believe you don't deserve love. And that's a big fat lie. So Virgos, you have my permission to kick that lie out on its tail and go after what you love and what you want. And then we have Libras. Libra, this happens for you in your 11th house of friend groups. So there can be a project that you've been a part of with your friends that is ready to be completed. So let's say you were building a school or a daycare center or something that helps children. Then that project is ready to come to completion. And because of all that pressure from all that Aquarius energy, it may be that there's a big push needed here at the end to get this project of yours across the finish line. But Aquarius is 11th house energy. This is in your 11th house. You're an air sign. So all that pressure is actually lining up to help you, guide you on what this is that you need to complete. I don't think it's necessarily meant to derail you. It also can just introduce you to friend groups that share the same passion and same dreams that you have for yourself. And it feels good to find your tribe and be a part of something more, because that's really calling and speaking to you at this time. And then we have Scorpios. Scorpios, this could bring a big change for you from a career perspective, because this is your 10th house, which of course rules your status, your reputation, what you're famous for, what people know you for. And in the 10th house, since a lot of us get recognition for the work that we do, this could bring, again, a big project to completion in the company that you work for. It could be, closing a chapter and leaving the company that you work for in order to go pursue what means more to your heart than the work that you've been doing that's just giving you a paycheck. So all kinds of shifts and changes involving your career are possible at this time, and you shouldn't be afraid of any changes. If something ends now, it's because it's done with you. Its time has come to an end, but then that means something better that you're going to love is right around the corner. So just trust the process, let things end that need to end, and focus on doing what you love going forward. And even if you're worried about the pay, it will follow because you're following your heart. All right. Our next fire sign, Sagittarius. So again, this energy is in alignment with you. This one happens in your 9th house of growth and expansion, higher education, higher learning, faith, what's possible. And of course, all of those things have everything to do with you, Sagittarius, because you are the 9th house of the zodiac. So this can move you forward in a way that you're really comfortable. This is a growth opportunity that could invite in some pretty quick, fast changes. You may have been considering going back to school, or you might be ready to put the finishing touches on, say, your doctorate or your PhD. And all of the people that you need to please in order to complete this, to get this passing grade, they may put a lot of pressure on you, but in the end, it's pressure that you needed and that actually pushed you to get this over the finish line, and the rewards are so worth it. It's not even going to bother you because you know what you know. You're very confident with yourself and this knowledge. And so whatever this chapter is that ends for you at this time, it feels good. It feels like what you do matters and that you're making a difference. And it's just opening a door for you to really invite big changes in going forward. Because remember, you're a fellow fire sign. So you have this full moon supporting you. You have Neptune in Aries supporting you. You're about to have Saturn in Aries also supporting you. So especially you early degree fire signs, you've got a lot of help coming your way. Make sure you take advantage of it. All right. Then we have Capricorns. So Capricorn, this is in your 8th house of death, rebirth, transformation. And so there is something that you're letting go of, something that metaphorically, right, needs to die and be released in order for you to pursue something in alignment with your heart, what you are passionate about. Now, the 8th house is also the resources that come to us from other people. So let's say you've written a grant recently looking for funding. As long as you put your heart and soul into what you want and what you need, chances are that money's coming in for you to be able to do this project. Now, you could be trying to make a purchase. You could be trying to buy a home. 8th house can be the debts, the money that we get, such as loans, tax refunds, inheritances. All of those topics can come up. But whatever you do, the resources that you get at this time shouldn't be wasted. Not that you would, Capricorn, but they really should be used to go after your heart's desire. Allow yourself to do that instead of just being so restricted and so responsible. There's something that is calling to you at this time, and it's going to change everything, but go for it and do it anyway. Your heart will make you happy that you did. And then Aquarius is, you've got a lot of activity going on. So my guess is you've been very busy. And with all of this movement here, there's probably a lot of people that have been interacting with you in your day-to-day life. So the sun's shining a light on you. You are in the spotlight. And there's something from a relationship perspective that is reaching some new kind of milestone at this time. So it could be the beginning of a serious relationship, a serious commitment. It could be personal. It could be business. It is something that your heart is fully aligned with at this time. And while you can get stuck in your head and overanalyze every little bit and piece about your partner, don't do that. They're in the spotlight. Maybe your partner is receiving some kind of recognition about their leadership, and then it benefits you as well. And it could end up bringing you closer together. So relationships, love, passion in your relationships, it's going to the next level, Aquarius. So enjoy it. And don't get too caught up in all of these people trying to distract you from what your partner needs from you right now. Make sure you have a good balance of time and energy spent in both areas of your life. And finally, as we hit Pisces, this is in your 6th house. So this is something coming to fullness and completion that could involve the work you do, could have something to do with your health. If you want to kick off a new heart healthy routine, diet, exercise, this is a really good time to do that because you'll stay with it over the long run and feel very committed to that. It's also a great time to make a job change. And again, pursue something that you're more passionate about, that's more in alignment with what your heart wants and desires. And even better yet, if this actually allows you to step up and into a leadership role, then you're doing exactly what you're meant to do. It's perfectly aligned. And over the next 2 weeks, you may see that come to full realization at this time. All right. So there it is. Really good, positive energy. Of course, it just depends what's going on in your personal chart. If you want to get more specific, you want to click on that link down below and book a session with me so that we can do the breakdown. And I do have shorter sessions that are focused on just these types of events where we just break down all of these full moon activities, how they're interacting with your natal planets, where it's showing up, how you should focus this energy. And so here you're going to use your heart to attract in whatever this is for you and what you need to complete. And you can work with fire, and you can work with the color red. Carnelian stone is a great one. Wearing a ruby red stone is a great one as well. So get aligned and follow your heart and let it be your guide. And then as we get to next week, as I mentioned, we're going to see that Saturn energy step up and hit that 29 degrees. So as we get to Wednesday of next week, we have two big things going on. We have Saturn hitting 29 degrees, and we have Uranus stationing to go direct. So this can stir the markets up a little bit more next week with some volatility. Taurus is stable energy. Uranus is not. So the Taurus energy does try to hold back the crazy volatility of the Uranus, but this is, when it's changing directions, more erratic. So take a breath. If the stock market or the crypto market specifically is going a little wild and crazy in the middle of next week, just write it out. This too shall pass. All right, so that's the main topics for next week. And then the thing that I'm watching is this Mercury energy as it's moving next week and is going to touch on that upcoming new moon solar eclipse. We might get a little hint and clue about what's to come, what we need to release, what we need to prepare to let go of for this new beginning to come in, which happens the 17th of February. So more to come on that. But if you already want to know, my articles for February are already ready for you. So go out to my website again, MaraleeBurnett.com, download all of those articles and get ready. Or book a session with me and we'll talk about the changes that are headed your way. So again, you can prepare. You have free will. There are fated things that are going to happen, but it's how you respond that could affect the next 19 years of your life. So you just might want to be ready. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for your comments, your likes, the follows, and if you haven't been doing it yet, be sure you check out my daily tarot cards. So I pull a card every day to give you an idea of what to expect and how that energy interacts with what's going on in the sky so you get a good full picture. And you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. As far as I know, I'm staying on TikTok. Who knows what's changing there? But I'm always readily available on all of those platforms and of course on my website as well. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing full moon in the sign of Leo, and keep those comments coming because I want to hear how the energy is showing up for you. All right, guys, take care and we'll talk next week.